Hello Internet and welcome to the Collective Arcana. We are a channel all about tabletop gaming. My name is Wyatt and today we've got something a little special. We've got a review of the Pathfinder terrain Abomination Vaults from Archon Studios and Dungeons Lasers. So Archon has teamed with Paizo before for some Starfinder stuff, but this is our first, or their first foray into Pathfinder. And this ties in directly, as you may have guessed, to the Abomination Vaults adventure path. What you're going to see here is sort of some Eldritch horror sort of designed. Basically just a standard sort of dungeon, but again, that Eldritch horror. And those tentacles and those sort of themes are going to tie directly into. They do a great job mirroring the art inside of the adventure path, if you have that or are familiar. But if you don't have the Abomination Vaults adventure path, luckily there is a collected version coming together. It's going to take players from level 1 to, I believe, 10. But you may already have the standalone, the 3-part series there. But even if you don't, these are going to be really nice little bits of terrain to add to your collection, or if you're just getting into the hobby, a great place to start. Of course, you don't have to play Abomination Vault. You don't even have to play Pathfinder to use these. Any grid-based tabletop RPG is going to get some good use out of it. I, for one, have been a fan of Archon Studios and Dungeons Lasers for a while now. Some of the first terrain I ever got was the Dungeons Lasers 2nd edition Kickstarter that they did. They just recently, are just now, rather, starting fulfillment on Dungeons & Lasers 3rd edition. But don't worry if you missed out on both of those, or, the 1st edition way back when. They do have a 4th one coming up. This one's going to specialize more in outdoor and sort of encounters like that, which I'm very excited about. I love the quality that this company puts out. And I have been lamenting since I got my first set that I wish that they would do some more outdoor terrain because, just because there's not a lot of affordable options for terrain, period, especially right now, as some companies are really hiking up prices on things. These are really good quality. They are very, very useful, modular. You can take them apart and you can even store them very easily. I'm sure that was loud, but in something like that. That's what I keep mine in. I'm probably going to have to get a second one once the next Kickstarter delivers, but in any case, there's, they store up very small. There's a lot that you can do with them. They're completely modular, take it apart, build it however you want. And I couldn't be a bigger fan. So let's head over to the table and let's sort of take a look, and we'll compare it to, I have some of the full height wall options as well, and we'll take a look and we'll see the pros and cons of these shorter wall heights. All right, so here we can see the assembled set here. It's very easy to cut it off with the sprues. What we did was we sort of painted it on the sprues. For the most part, we did some final touches and everything afterwards. This stuff is very exaggerated in its detail, and so this is very, very deep, the cuts and the grooves on this. And that means that it's very easy to paint. So even if you're a novice, don't worry about that, because you can, a base coat of a dark gray, and then a couple of dry brushes, maybe an ink wash, and you're going to have something that looks very good. I mean, this week sort of did as quick as we could to get this painted up and still look pretty good for you. Now, you will see that, there are obviously these, little squiddy designs and things like that. Let me pull one of these off here. So you can see this big one here with this sort of eye. The default, or the example paint job that they give is very nice as well. But you don't think that you have to do as good as they did. They have professional painters for a reason. And this is really just a couple of dry brushes and a wash, and it looks very good. You can see these doors, which, they work, which is very neat. Everything is double-sided, and that means that, if you need to switch the door, you can. And that's one thing to talk about here. So let's just real quick first, let's show how nice these half-height walls are. Obviously, you can really get in and you can lay down a battlefield very quickly and very easily without having to worry too much about knocking things over. And that's great. And these working doors are nice. You can open or close as needed for the battle. But let's compare really quick to another set that I have that has the full height walls, so you can sort of see the difference. And this is something that's really fun. I don't have anything supporting this. As long as you're ginger with it, doing things a little gingerly, you can move everything about with minimal fuss with these. They're very lightweight, and the little clips that they have do a great job of sticking together. So you can see here, this is great. This is very nice. But if you were not looking directly down on it, say, you were at the table, you can see, there, people are sliding very quickly, and we'll get some other shots you can see without me tilting it. But it's very easy for the people around the table to lose sight of what's going on. I personally didn't think I would like the half-height walls nearly as much as I do for exactly that reason. With COVID and everything coming up and as things are getting back to normal, hopefully for the long term, we are, definitely thinking about going back to a live game, a live table again. And so for us, we're really starting to think more and more about what's going to be comfortable at the table. A lot of my terrain purchases were during COVID. And what works for our streaming videos that we do, because we have, we play online, so we like to stream map cams on occasion. And there's a video here where you can see how we do that. I think it's a little outdated. We've changed some things, but it's still basically the same. But that means that I have to be a little more conscious about making sure that people can see, because for online or something like that, this is very easy to see. But when it's on the table and you're sitting a foot or two away from it, you can definitely see how some of these characters would get lost around the walls. So as you can see again, the Abomination Vaults set has a very classical sort of dungeon design with just these sort of Eldritch horror elements here, the tentacle motifs, which again are reminiscent of the art in the books and stuff like that. But one thing that's really cool that Archon does is this. You can see we have these little, partially painted only, but these little portions of walls. Not every wall does it, but many of the walls have these options for these little inserts. Now, what we got with this set were all torches, but there are other customization bits that you can get that Archon makes with their Dungeons Lasers line, to have other things like cross sword and shield sort of thing, pictures, photographs and things like that, mirrors, all sorts of different things, holy symbols, shrines, and all sorts of things that you can plug into those holes that may work better for you and what you're going for. Now, we did also get something else. We also received this excellent Dwarven Mine set. This was in I believe, Dungeons Lasers 2 or 3 this was introduced. But these half-height walls are new. There was an option to get a few of them. But this is, going along with the new half-height wall set. And if you've played Abomination Vaults, you know that this would make a great approximation for some sections of that adventure path. As much as the other one is a great, perfect fit for it, this is also one that you would get a lot of use out of with that. Or again, a great general purpose mines and similar sort of old abandoned tunnels are classic dungeon delving sort of tropes, and this is going to suit those needs very well. What we got with those, and you can see we left the lanterns unpainted and a couple of spots where this one's a lot rougher. You can see the spots where we cut off from the sprue and stuff, but that's because I was in charge of this one. So I do apologize for that. My wife definitely did a little better than me. But we left the lanterns and everything uncovered because we're just not sure if we want to commit to the OSL, the object source lighting, or not. We're on the fence about it. But these are really cool, and a great part of this design is, of course, it looks great in a mine, but it could also do well for an outdoor scene or something like that. As could from the Abomination Vaults set. They give you these little bits of rubble, which would do a great job. It's just scatter terrain anywhere. And these really excellent pillars you get, they are in halves. But it is a really cool, it's a great height, as you can see. Great height for, full height walls, not just the half height. But it would work in either just fine. Now, you may have noticed these little holes and things here and there. Don't worry, they do give you these nice tiny little rocks that you can use to plug those holes up. Or if you don't plan to put torches and things into those little circles there, you can plug that with a rock as well. Pieces are, in general, very mix and match. It's one of the best features of it. What you see here with each is just sort of the best I could do to try to use everything up. I did not succeed at that. I've got a couple of these walls left from the Abomination Vault set, and because I did sort of one big block, I have a lot more of the Dwarven Mines. So there's a very good chance that one of these sets is going to be enough for you to create at least any individual rooms, and probably several rooms at a time. Of course, getting multiple sets means you can have a big sprawling thing. You could theoretically absolutely build the entire Abomination Vaults if you wanted to. Now, let's talk really quickly about what comes inside of it. For each set, there are 12 floors, 24 walls, 6 doors, and 6 doorways to put them in, and 21 customization bits, which are the torches and the piles of the ruined columns for the Abomination Vaults, and torches and these lantern posts for the Dwarven Mine. You also get a great number of these connector pieces. These are for the ones that you use to connect a piece of floor to another piece of floor, like so. Again, all the pieces go together. And then these are the edges when you don't need to connect another one behind it. You just use that. And then your piece of wall connects right there. And you can see here the difference between the half height and the full height. And so you can see why, you would definitely have trouble seeing what was going on with the full height. As much as I love the full height, I think that these half height walls are absolutely more practical for consistent use. One thing that I sort of mentioned before was I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with some of the color options on here. And so you can see here on the Dwarven Mine, this sort of puddle-looking thing. And I hadn't decided if that's going to be mud or, shallow pools of water, maybe acid. But I do think it could work great as a sort of magma pool. So I think what I'm going to end up doing with some of this set is doing different variations on that. Having a few pieces that are magma, a few that are water, and a few that are mud. Maybe even now that I look at it, some that are ice. That could be like, broken up sort of ice flow and a little bit of water there. Maybe. I don't know. I think it could look great, and I think it would be really cool. And just a great little bit of versatility to the piece if you just don't need earthworks, but you need stuff like that. There you go. My favorite thing about the changes they made specifically for the this release, the Abomination Vaults and the Dwarven Mine, are the doorways. So you can see here, this is from the old sets. This is a doorway, and this is the new doorway. And the big difference, as you may notice, is that the old ones, the doorways are centered on a 2 square wide portion. The new one, the doors are taking up 1 square. That is going to make a lot more sense for most of the grid-based games you'll be playing, certainly for Pathfinder and D&D and things like that. So it just, it's nice that you don't have to worry about, is that a half step to get through the door? What portion of movement is that? Because it's sort of a diagonal move to get through there. So that sort of removes that question. That may not be a big deal to you, but it is, in my opinion, a nice little change here. And it just provides more variety if you did want to mix and match with the old doors and things like that. So clearly I am a fan of the product. I think you will be too. Again, if you are looking for a cheap, affordable, but not, shoddy cheap, just affordable cheap way to get into terrain for your tabletop RPG hobby, this is, I think, the best company to do it with. It's going to require a little bit more work than stuff that comes pre-painted, but it's also going to be a lot cheaper than the stuff that comes pre-painted, and it's going to be a lot more versatile, in my opinion, than most of what comes pre-painted. As you saw, just the stuff that comes with it is not just the tiles and the terrain, but there's, little bits here and there to add a little bit of character to a dungeon. And, of course, Archon Studios makes a lot more of these sort of things in their Dungeons and Lasers line. And there'll be a link down below where you can go and check out everything that they have on offer. So, what do you think? Are you going to pick this up? Are you going to use it for Abomination Vaults or something else? Are you half as excited as me? I guess is the question. So, come on over and, let us know what you think down in the comments. And if you like this sort of thing, we're most likely going to do a review when we get the next Kickstarter as well, with some of that stuff that comes in it. I'm very excited. And hopefully you want to see that. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And a big shout out to Camille and Anastasia over at Archon Studios, and as well as the whole crew over there for sending this for us to review. We really appreciate it. We had a great time with it. And just thanks so much.